Where do you go when the record is over? John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1977 drama, dancing classic. I can't even describe it. Saturday Night Fever, starring the immortal John Travolta. A few other people. Donna Pescow is in this. You remember her? I don't know. Fran Drescher has a crazy little cameo in this. The list goes on and on. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club, I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics. You can go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. Go to our page on YouTube at KD9575 and hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. If you do that, you get all the latest updates whenever I post a new video, links to wacky B-movie-ish sites and videos. You know what? It's Christmas, so I'm giving you all this extra stuff. I hope you appreciate it. No need to send a note of thanks. You know, I get it. So, again, thank you for joining us. And don't forget to spread the word, won't you? The more, the merrier. Saturday Night Fever. In this movie, Tony Manero is a 19-year-old kind of underachiever. He works at a hardware store, paint supply company, something along those lines. But every Saturday night, he takes all the money he makes at the paint store, puts on his polyester clothes, his fancy butterfly collar, and he goes out there and he dances. Okay, he blows all his money at the club, Odyssey 2001, where he's a king, essentially. He's got these moves like you wouldn't believe. And I'm serious when I say you won't believe his moves. But there's something coming up. Hey, there's a new dance competition. There's a cash prize. Okay. An old girl of his, Annette. I guess they've been dance partners before, and she's always she's carrying a torch for old Tony. He agrees to be her partner. But that night, he sees this woman on the dance floor doing exotic salsa dancing, and he's drawn to her. I don't know why. And tracks her down at the local, I don't know what it is. It's I guess it's a place where people practice their dance moves. This is big in the 70s. I guess it's for ballerinas and things like that, but people can go and work on the hustle as well. I don't know. So he tracks her down. She's like, hit the road, Jack. No, thank you, not interested. But his persistence eventually wins her over. He goes back to Annette and says, sorry, honey, no can do. She continues to throw herself at him over the remainder of the film. But he's got this woman over here that he's very interested in, Stephanie. And she evidently is also from Brooklyn. The whole thing takes place in Brooklyn. Stephanie used to live in Brooklyn, but now she's moved to Manhattan, where things are much more cultured, and she's allegedly meeting all these celebrities, David Bowie, for example, Joe Namath, Sir Laurence Olivier, all these famous people she's rubbing elbows with at the record company, evidently. So the movie progresses, and you get to meet some of Tony's buddies like Joey, Bobby C, Double J. You know them, don't you? A whole bunch of sleazy jerks, essentially. You know, and all what they do every Saturday night, basically hook up with random chicks. What's your name again? Is a commonly heard refrain in this movie. That sort of thing. There's the dance competition. They win, but spoiler alert. But Tony is very upset about it because he feels like the Puerto Rican couple really should have won it, but there was a lot of racism going on throughout this film, so he feels, upset, like they should have won. You know, I only won because of racism, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to spoil everything. I got to be honest with you, after the dance scene, the movie takes a decidedly darker turn. I don't want to spoil everything. They all have, Joey and Double J are up to no good, as you might imagine. Bobby C has this issue where he's gotten a girl pregnant. He's not sure what he should do. And Tony's not calling him back. And there's a whole other subplot, which is very bizarre. Tony's home life is is not a great place. Everyone's smacking each other upside the head. It's very upsetting. His older brother had gone away and become a priest, but now he's left the priesthood. So now the Catholic Italian family's very upset. There's a lot going on in this movie. It goes in a lot of different crazy directions, as you might imagine. I mean, it starts out, it's about dancing, and hey, we're having fun. It's Saturday night. It ends up being about, spoiler alert, accidental suicide and date rape and all sorts of bad things. Let's just leave it at that. This movie came out in 1977. John Travolta was already a big star from Welcome Back, Kotter. You remember that one? But his movie career didn't kick off the way people had hoped. I mean, he played a role in Carrie, that classic film. You remember that one? He was also in The Boy in the Plastic Bubble. You may not remember that one. This movie kind of rocketed him really to higher heights of stardom as well. It was based upon a New York Magazine article called The Tribal Rights of Saturday Night, which was allegedly a kind of expose on one particular Brooklynite's adventures every Saturday. Years later, the writer of this, a guy named Nick Cohn, came out and admitted, I just made it all up. But evidently it was a popular enough article that they decided to make a movie out of it. It was going to be called Tribal Rights of Saturday Night, but they thought that was too long and uninteresting, so they shortened it to Saturday Night, and then they didn't like that so much. They decided to go into a partnership with the Bee Gees. Who doesn't love the Bee Gees? Basically doing the entire soundtrack. And one of their hits coming into this movie was called Night Fever. It might be the night fever. You know it, don't you? So, hastily they changed the movie from just Night Fever or just Saturday Night to Saturday Night Fever. Hey, there we go. Brought in John Travolta. He was, working really hard. He would run for 2 miles a day and train his dance moves for 3 hours a day. He lost 20 pounds. The role of Annette went to an unknown actress named Donna Pascal, who they thought initially she was too pretty to play the role of Annette, because there had to be some reason why Tony's like, no thanks, keep away you. So she put on 20 pounds or more than that to kind of frump herself up a little bit. Donna Pascal went on to star in that hit sitcom from the early 80s, Angie. You remember that one? Maybe not. More famously, she was the mom on Out of This World, about a woman who has a tryst with an alien from another planet, and she has a half-alien daughter. It kind of sounds like V. It's a comedy, okay? She doesn't have antennas or anything like that. She just, she was a pretty young lady who has alien powers, something like that. You remember that one, Out of This World. So there's that. Good times. Fran Drescher's in this movie for about 2 seconds. She's somebody who propositions poor Tony about if he's as good in the sack as he is on the dance floor, which is evidently a challenge, so he goes and immediately starts dancing with her for about 2 seconds before he essentially kicks her to a curb and starts doing his own dance moves by himself while people cheer around the dance floor.
Oh, forget this.
Look out, give the kid some room. He's taking over again.
Right.
All right, go, Tony. Don't take it, Tony. Let's go. Right on.
was watching this movie on my iPad on Netflix, and there would be scenes where, like, long drawn out dance scenes where I would just start laughing out loud because the moves, just thinking about them. Really, it's hard to describe the level of interesting that you see in this just from the dance moves, okay? So check that out if you're up to it. Again, he trained and trained and trained. And evidently, initially, they wanted to film him just from this area while he's doing his dance moves and then show his feet separately because, you know, they wanted to kind of give them more close-ups. And he was like, if you do that, I will quit because I want everyone who comes into the movie and watches this to know I'm the one doing the moves, okay? It's not a stunt double. It's all me, all the dance moves. Initially, he wanted to wear like a black suit, and they had to tell him, you know what, you're going to be in a darkened club, you know, doing your dance moves. That's not going to fly. And that's when it came out like the iconic white suit, white polyester suit with the black undershirt and the collar all popped and the chains. And yeah, good times had by all. This movie was originally supposed to be directed by John Avildsen, who had done such things like Rocky. And if you look close, you'll see like posters of Rocky in the background. He was fired after a very short time. They brought in John Badham, who directed the remainder of the film. Now, he directed such things in the 80s, such as War Games, Stakeout, you know, a long list of fine films. Bird on a Wire, you remember that one. Drop Zone with Wesley Snipes. Did a lot of action films. So they brought him in, and he was... he had to deal with a lot of interesting issues. Like, evidently, because they're filming in the real streets of Brooklyn, they had issues with the local Hasidic Jews, like overturning cars because they didn't want all the camera work in there. The mafia tried to shake them down and were throwing firebombs into places. There was a lot of issues going on with this production, to say the least. So, but it was a huge hit when it came out. Gigantic. People loved it. It was nominated for Golden Globes. John Travolta was actually nominated for Best Picture, or actually Best Actor for this movie. So, I mean, this was, it's like, I kind of look back at this and laugh, but it was a huge thing. It was a huge cultural phenomenon. A few years later, I mean, they made references to it in Airplane, if you can believe that. In Short Circuit, there was references to it. In Teen Wolf, there's a scene where the Teen Wolf is putting on his John Travolta thing, but that was like 86 or something. I'm not sure that the John Travolta look was still in 86, but if you're the Teen Wolf, what are you going to do? Okay? You do what you can do, I guess, is the moral of the story. So... huge hit. The critics were gushing about it. It currently has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes because it deals with a lot of serious issues, evidently. Okay, it's not just about dancing. This is one of his moves, evidently. It's not just about that. Okay, like I said, there's a dark turn in this. Okay, so check it out. It was inducted into the Library of Congress for being culturally significant, for goodness sake. So, it is still streaming instantly on Netflix. Rush out and check it out if you have not seen it. Next week, moving away from these moves, we're going to be doing the Michael Crichton classic horror science fiction. I don't know what it is. Congo, okay? Congo, where there's a secret community of apes in Africa. I don't want to spoil it, but it is also streaming instantly on Netflix. So let me know what you think. Send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and I may just talk about it on the show. Okay? So go ahead, go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Go ahead and subscribe on our page on YouTube. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Would you watch the hair? You know, I work a long time on my hair, and you hit it. That's my that's my Brooklyn accent. And John Travolta actually improv'd that line. So it's a classic. What can I tell you? So again, thank you very much for joining us. Next week, Congo streaming instantly on Netflix. Be well.